Hare Krishna. Let us begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलम् श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादा सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा Are you still able to see the screen properly? Are you able to read anything on the screen?
Yeah, it is tricky, but it is blurry. But is there any way we can get the new monitor, Prabhuji? Like Mahendra
Not
Prabhu,
in few, not in few seconds.
which I see couple of minutes after some time also it will be able to get it. Like Mahendra Prabhu
Okay.
or Sanaka Sanana Prabhu can get it, or I can also get it, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu. Can I
Yeah, I
give?
think it will be difficult to actually just do it during the class now. It will have to be up for the another class. Maybe I can do this screen full screen sometimes in between. For example, this one. Oh, are you able to read this?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll just change it to the full screen like this so that you can still see the text on the screen. And maybe for the next session, we will do something better. Okay. So we are doing the 15th chapter from Canto 1, which is entitled The Pandavas Retire Timely. And till now, we have covered till verse number 23. So in these first 23 verses, we have seen that in the previous chapter, where Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was anxiously questioning Arjuna, that what is happening? Why you are looking so dejected? And then in this chapter, Arjuna starts speaking. In the beginning, he was finding it so hard to speak because he was overwhelmed with grief. He was completely unable to speak, and his body was completely weak, and it looked like that his luster had lost because of the separation from Lord Shri Krishna. Somehow or the other, he was able to control himself, and he informs Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj that the Lord who treated Arjuna like for himself, because he's speaking, Arjuna is speaking, the Lord who treated me like an intimate friend has left me alone. He is gone now. And in that deep remembrance, Arjuna recalls Krishna's intimate friendship, that how he acted like his companion, his charioteer, his relative, his well-wisher, and his separation that he was feeling for Lord Shri Krishna, it intensified his love for Krishna. And then Arjuna realized that all his extraordinary power was coming from Lord Shri Krishna. And with Krishna's departure, all that power has also gone. And we had a good discussion at that time, and we learned that no one is independently powerful, and all our abilities like the strength, intelligence, success, everything is borrowed from the Lord. So Arjuna reflects on his past victories, um, and remembered that everywhere how Krishna had played part in that. So like be it Draupadi Swayamvara, or when Khandav forest was burned, or when they captured Mayadanav, and Mayadanav created beautiful palaces for them and beautiful city, or whether it was defeating powerful enemies like in the Kurukshetra war, or be in uh, like Bhima killing Jarasandha. So he was seeing Krishna's hands in all of them. And now that Krishna had gone, all the achievements, Arjuna was feeling that they were all meaningless. And there were some analogies which came, like it was offering ghee into ashes, or seeds on the barren land. He remembers various different loving exchanges, the intimate moments that he had spent with Lord Shri Krishna, the jokes, friendship, tolerance that the Lord showed towards him. And he was now deeply feeling separation because of that. He was feeling that longing for Lord Shri Krishna. And then he mentioned that though I have the same Gandiva bow, I have the same arrows, I have the same chariot, I still have the same skills, but I'm completely helpless without Krishna's presence. And he mentions to Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj that I got defeated by some ordinary cowherd men, proving that my strength alone is insignificant without the divine empowerment. Without Krishna's presence and without Krishna's empowerment, it is of no use. And then in the last two verses, 22 and 23, we saw, because Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj had also asked about Yadu dynasty, Arjuna reveals the tragic end of the Yadu dynasty as well, that how they were cursed, and because of the internal conflict, they killed each other. So that is where we have, till this point, we have covered. Is the screen like stopping and moving? It is not.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I think I just stop this OBS. I think we'll go like this. And then whenever there is screen, I'll share that. So we'll come to the verse number 24 now. प्रायेणैतद्भगवत् ईश्वरस्य विचेष्टितम् मिथो निघ्नन्ति भूतानि भावयन्ति च यन्मिथा. Who wants to read? Yes, go ahead.
Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another.
Yeah. So it is the will of the Lord. So it is mentioned here that sometimes, so of course, it is in the context of Yadu dynasty, right? So Yadu dynasty, they killed each other. So it is mentioned here that it is all the will of the Lord. Sometimes people, by that will of the Lord, people kill one another, and sometimes they protect one another. There is a very beautiful purport here, and we will read it from around third or fourth line, where it says, "Whenever, therefore." Who's next? Bhageshwari Mataji, are you the next one?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead. If you have found, whenever, therefore.
Yeah. Whenever, therefore, there is peace in the world, it must be known that it is due to the good will of the Lord. And whenever there is upheaval in the world, it is also due to the supreme will of the Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is disobedience of the established rules enacted by the Lord, there is war between men and nations. The surest way to the path of peace, therefore, is dovetailing everything to the established rule of the Lord. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we sacrifice, or whatever we give in charity must be done to the full satisfaction of the Lord. No one should do anything, eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. Discretion is a better part of valor, and one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yoga karma kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing a thing perfectly.
What a beautiful purport Srila Prabhupada has written here. And it is very important in the current context where the wars are going on everywhere. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here, peace and war in the world is as per the Lord's will. And he mentions here in between, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. That even in your garden, there is this lawn and there are so many blades of grass which is there, but not even a single blade of grass can move without Lord's permission. And he continues saying that whenever there is a disobedience of the laws of the Lord, then there is war between men and nations. So how to get peace then? So dovetail everything to establish the rule of the Lord. And he also explains, Srila Prabhupada explains that what is the established rule of the Lord? And he's saying here that whatever you do, so basically he's quoting the verse, Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. So whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever sacrifice we do, whatever we give away in charity, we must give it to the Lord. And if we do like this, then automatically what will happen? Then there will be peace in the world. So, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing in the purport that no one should do their activities against the will of the Lord. And especially towards the end, he is mentioning that if you want to do some heroic activities, so specifically he said, discretion is the better part of the valor, and one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. So if you want to do some heroic activity, then it is not the war that you should be doing. Actually, the actual heroism is that we should be learning to discriminate what is right and what is wrong. What actions will be pleasing to the Lord and what actions will be displeasing to the Lord. And when we actually have learned this and acting as per that, then that is heroic. Not that we do some war against some other nation. That is not heroic. So it is mentioned, then Srila Prabhupada is going further and saying that an action is thus judged by Lord's pleasure or displeasure. So any activity that you have done, how do we know that it was right or wrong? He's saying that it will be judged based on whether it is pleasing to the Lord or displeasing to the Lord. An action that pleases to the Lord is yoga. Yoga karmasu kaushalam, he said. So that he is quoting from the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. So the way that we do the karma actually makes that karma as yoga. And what is the right way of doing the karma? Is that the action which pleases to the Lord, that is yoga. So how beautifully he has mentioned here that any activity that pleases the Lord is yoga, and that is what we should be actually trying to do in our life. Okay, let's move to the next verse. Jalaukasaam jale yadvan mahanto dantaniyasaha durbalan balino rajan mahanto balino mitha evam balishthirya dubhir yadubhir mahadbhir itaran vibhu yadun yadubhir anyonya bhubharan samjaharaha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhu.
Okay. As in the ocean, the bigger and stronger aquatic souls of the smaller and weaker ones, so also the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To lighten the burden on the earth, he engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker and the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller.
So, just like in an ocean, there are some bigger aquatics, some stronger aquatics, some are smaller, some are weaker. So here it is mentioned the Supreme Personality of Godhead to lighten the burden of earth. So it is mentioned here that the Yadus, who are considered pure devotees of the Lord, but here it is mentioned that they are burden of the earth. And to lighten the burden of the earth, he engaged the stronger Yadu to kill the weaker, the bigger Yadu to kill the smaller Yadu. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains here about this verse that Lord made Arjuna and others think that Yadus are the burden. But actually they were not the burden. And Srila Prabhupada is explaining here in the purport as well, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur had also mentioned this, that Yadus were never a burden on the earth. Yadus are the eternal associates of the Lord. And there is an example Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives, is that just like when women, they have lots of gold ornaments. And even though there may be weight to that ornament, the woman never feels the weight of the ornaments. They don't feel that as a burden. Similarly, uh, the eternal associates of the Lord, they are like the ornaments of the earth. And that's why Mother Earth never felt burden of the Yadus. So why was this pastime done where the Yadus are killing each other? Um, Even though they are such exalted devotees. So this pastime of the Lord was for the eternal associates of the Lord to go back, return to their original position. Because the Lord was going to go back and he wanted to make sure that all his devotees, instead of waiting there for few more years, they also return to the spiritual world along with him. So that is why he actually organized this particular pastime, where in one shot, like in one day, all of these Yadus have finished their pastime and they have gone back. Those, some of them who were Devatas from the heavenly planets, so they went back to their original position to heavenly planets. And those who were eternal associates, they went back to Goloka. So that is why Krishna actually organized this pastime. And Srila Prabhupada's purport is again another classic one, where he says that in the first line itself, he says that in the material world, the struggle for existence and survival of the fittest are the laws, because in the material world there is disparity between conditioned souls due to everyone's desire to lord it over the material resource. Because everyone wants to lord it over. We are not the Lord. And that's why Srila Prabhupada calls in the fourth line or so, he says that we are imitation lords. So we are imitation lords. We are not the real lords. We cannot lord over the Prakriti, material nature. The real lord of the Prakriti is the Supreme Lord. And because everyone wants to lord over the material nature, that is where the disparity has come. Someone has become stronger, someone has become weaker, someone has become bigger, someone has become smaller. And Prabhupada mentions that in the spiritual world, such disparity and struggle for existence is not there. Why there is no struggle for existence? Because everyone exists there eternally. In the material world, there is struggle for existence because the weaker is fearful that the stronger is going to kill them, because there is this death is existing in this material world. But in the spiritual world, there is no death. Everyone is existing eternally. There is no disparity as well because everyone there wants to serve the Supreme Lord and no one wants to become the imitation Lord there. So this is all coming from the purport. Srila Prabhupada has mentioned why material world has this existence, struggle for existence, why there is this disparity, and why there is the survival of the fittest here because of our own desires. But whereas in the spiritual world, uh, these things doesn't exist. Let's move on to the next one. देशकालार्थयुक्तानि वृत्तापोपशमानि च हरन्ति स्मरतश्चित्तं गोविन्दाभिहितानि मे.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Mother.
Now I am attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, Govinda, because they are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. Krishna.
Yeah. So in this verse, Arjuna is now in next few verses, 27 to 31. Arjuna is remembering the verses, the instructions of Bhagavad Gita. All the instructions of Bhagavad Gita that Lord Shri Krishna has given to Arjuna on the battle of Kurukshetra, all those verses are now flashing in his mind. And by remembering those instructions, he is now becoming more and more peaceful. So the same instructions helped him on the battlefield, and the same instructions are helping him here as well. The purport is focused. It's a long purport, but purport is focused on giving a brief understanding of Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada mentions that these instructions of Bhagavad Gita, they are not for the benefit of Arjuna alone. It is for all space and all time. He's pointing out again that it is the essence of all Vedic wisdom. And for those who have very little time to go through all the Vedic scriptures, Bhagavad Gita is the way. Because the Vedic scriptures are so vast. We have Upanishads, Puranas, Vedanta Sutras, and all of these will take a lot of time to actually go through. But whereas Bhagavad Gita has only 700 verses, so it can be like anyone can go through it. And he's saying it can be consulted towards the last few lines of the first paragraph in the purport. Prabhupada is saying Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times, not only for solace from all kinds of mental agonies, but also for the way out of great entanglements which may embarrass one in some critical hour. So it can be consulted in all critical times. And what are the benefits of consulting Bhagavad Gita in some difficult times for us? First, it can give solace to us. From all kinds of mental agonies, we'll get peace. The second, it can provide the way out of the great entanglements. Whatever kind of binding or some entanglement, some problems that we have, Bhagavad Gita will give us the way out. And then Srila Prabhupada continues and says that Lord's instructions are not different from the Lord. One can derive the same benefit as Arjuna received when Krishna was Krishna was present there. We can receive the same benefit just by reading the Bhagavad Gita. And then giving a brief overview of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada mentions that there are 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. Most of those who have done Bhakti Shastri here, and of course, some of you are doing Bhakti Vaibhav, and you definitely know that there are 5 topics of Bhagavad Gita. And first one is Ishvara. Ishvara is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Prakriti, the 3 modes made of 3 modes of material nature, which is energy of the Lord and of course controlled by the Lord. Then Jiva. Jiva is part and parcel of the Lord. Again, because it's part and parcel of the Lord, we know that we have the same qualities of the Lord, but not in the same quantity. Again, Jiva is also controlled by the Lord. Then it is Kala. Kala is time. Time is also energy of the Lord and it destroys everything. But again, because it's energy of the Lord, it is controlled by the Lord. And then last one is Karma. Karma is how Jiva uses Prakriti. The activities of Jiva using Prakriti is Karma. Now, there are 2 ways you can use Prakriti. One, for our own enjoyment. If we use Prakriti for our own enjoyment, then what happens? We get entangled in the Prakriti and we remain here. But the same Prakriti, if Jiva uses in the service of the Lord, which is what it is meant for, because it is Lord's energy, then what happens? We get freedom. So these 5 topics are covered of course, in detail. We have just talking about very briefly. And Srila Prabhupada talks about Sanatan Dharma. When we get purified by using the karma in this, like using the Prakriti in the service of the Lord, we get purified. And that is our Sanatan Dharma. So devotional service is the Sanatan Dharma. And Bhagavad Gita basically teaches us how to do bhakti properly, how to use everything in the service of the Lord. So Arjuna is now remembering the instructions given to him on the battlefield, and these instructions are relieving the burning heart for him because he's feeling so much separation. So remembering these instructions is giving him solace. So we'll see further what happens. So now Suta Goswami is speaking. Suta uvacha evam chintayato jishno krishnapada saroruham sauhardena atigadhena shanta sidvimalamatihi. Yes, Gaur Chandra Prabhu or Mataji. Or who's first? Or Surananda Prabhu is first? Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Translation. Suta Goswami said, thus, being deeply absorbed in thinking of the instructions of the Lord, which were imparted in the great intimacy of friendship, and in thinking of his lotus feet, Arjuna's mind became pacified and free from all material contamination. Right.
Yeah. I'll quickly share the slide for some time and then continue. So Suta Goswami is saying that how Arjuna, so of course, seeing means seeing through words that he has heard from Parikshit, sorry, Shukadev Goswami, and now he's just repeating all of that and the past time that he's repeating. So Suta Goswami is saying, thus being deeply absorbed in the thinking of the instructions of the Lord. So he's saying that Arjuna is completely absorbed himself on Lord's lotus feet and his instructions. And thus his mind became pacified. So what can we learn? Two things. Follow the instructions of the Lord, which are given in Bhagavad Gita, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So follow the instructions given in the scriptures and then implement that into our day-to-day life, which is absorbing ourselves in the Lord's lotus feet, on the Lord's lotus feet. Because that is the essence of all the scriptures. The scriptures are teaching us that we should focus our attention to Lord's lotus feet. And if we have done that, then our mind will become pacified and we will become free from material contamination. So this is what we have to do. And Srila Prabhupada is actually giving an analogy in the purport. He's saying that Lord is like the sun. And by remembering him deeply, all the darkness of ignorance that goes away from our heart. So just like it helped Arjuna, it will also help us if we follow in the footsteps of Arjuna. Let's see further what is happening with Arjuna. Vasudevanghrya anudhyana paribrumbhit ramhasa bhaktya nirmatitha shesha kashaya dhishanorjunaha.
Hare Krishna. Arjun's constant remembrance of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna rapidly increased his devotion, and as a result, all the trash in his thoughts subsided.
Trash in his thoughts. Srila Prabhupada used quite interesting words that there is a lot of trash in our thoughts. Of course, for Arjuna, like for us, the trash that is there, and for Arjuna, what is the trash that he has is completely different. For us, our trash in our thoughts is like kama, krodha, lobha, mada, moha, matsar. But Arjuna is free from all these 6 vices. Arjuna had just become unsteady in his intelligence because of the separation and the pain that he's feeling. So that is what is happening with Arjuna. But for us, it can remove all this trash that we have, all these material desires which are there, all of them can go away. And not only it can go away, it is said that it rapidly increased his devotion. Rapidly. Like it is a speed that is there. It is not that slowly it will increase. No, it is saying that rapidly increase the devotion. So if we constantly remember the lotus feet of the Lord, just like Arjuna is doing, then it will increase our devotion rapidly and all the trash in our thoughts will be subsided. So these things will happen together. Some material detachment will get created and attachment to Krishna will get created. More attachment to Krishna gets created, more detachment to the material desires will come. And the same way, like if we actually create some more material detachment, then that space will be occupied by more and more by Krishna. Next verse. Geetam Bhagavata Jnanam Yattat Sangrama Murdhani Kala Karmatamo Ruddham Punaradhya Gamat Prabhu.
Because of the Lord's pastimes and activities, and because of his absence, it appeared that Arjun forgot the instructions left by the personality of Godhead. But factually, this was not the case, and again he became Lord of his senses. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So Arjuna always remembered the instructions from the Lord, although it may appear that he has forgotten them because of the activities and separation from the Lord. So what are the activities it is mentioned here? So it looked like that the Lord was participating in the war, just like many other lakhs of and millions of soldiers which are there on the battlefield. So it may appear that the Lord is just one of them. So outwardly, the action of the Lord may look the same as that is carrying as which are carried out by so many other soldiers and warriors on the battlefield. But that is not the same. Lord Shri Krishna is carrying out his transcendental mission, what he comes for. And very few people understand what is the difference between our activity, our karma, and the pastimes which the Lord is doing. And that is why the fourth chapter mentions Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deha punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. That Janma karma cha me divyam. Krishna has said that my Janma and my karma, my appearance and my activities are divyam. They are transcendental, they are not ordinary. But very few understand them. And those who understands that my Janma and karma are divyam, they don't stay here, they come to me. So sometimes, just by looking at the activities of the Lord, some may think that, oh, looks like that the activities, like everyone is fighting on the battlefield. Krishna is also there. So he is also like an ordinary soldier. So why to worry about, why take his instructions so seriously in Bhagavad Gita? He's just an ordinary person like me, you and me. For them, there is no benefit that they can derive from Bhagavad Gita, Lord's instructions. So, but Arjuna is not like that. It appeared as if he has forgotten, but he had never forgotten the instructions of the Lord. That is what is mentioned here. So, Srila Prabhupada is quoting 1865 in the purport. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. That Arjuna is completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. He is in this particular verse's consciousness always. He outwardly, maybe it may appear that he has forgotten the Lord's instruction, but it was never like that. They were always within his heart. 31. Vishoko Brahma Sampatya Sachinna Dvaita Samshayaha Lina Prakriti Nirgunyad Alingatvad Asambhavaha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because of his possessing spiritual assets, the doubts of duality were completely cut off. Thus, he was freed from the three modes of material nature and placed in transcendence. There was no longer any chance of his becoming entangled in birth and death, for he was freed from material form.
So he, in the translation, it is mentioned because of his possessing spiritual assets. So just like we accumulate material assets, the real devotees, don't go after material assets. They are accumulating the spiritual assets. And what kind of spiritual asset Arjuna had? He had friendship with Krishna. He had developed friendship with Krishna. So due to this friendship with Krishna, which is his spiritual asset, he destroyed his lamentation. He destroyed the doubts. And then he became free from the three modes of material nature. And then he situated in transcendence. It is also mentioned that he became devoid of material form and was no longer entangled in birth and death. So what does it mean that he became devoid of the material form? It's not that the body went away. Of course, over a period of time, when he gives up this body, he is going to be in the spiritual world. But here it is explained that his subtle body, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego, and generally all these three are in the material world, are keeping us, they are actually contaminated, and that's why they are keeping us in this material world. For example, the mind develops lots of material desires. The intelligence also gets contaminated, and our ego, instead of real ego, it becomes a false ego. So this mind with the material desires, contaminated intelligence, and false ego is our subtle body. But for a devotee like Arjuna, his subtle body is completely destroyed. His mind doesn't have material desires. It is always full of spiritual desires. His intelligence is completely clean. It is never contaminated because he is always meditating on the instructions of the Lord. So that is how his intelligence gets purified. And he knows that he is the servant of the Supreme Lord, and that is why he doesn't have a false ego, he has the real ego. And that's how his subtle body is completely destroyed and he becomes completely pure. Srila Prabhupada mentions in around the middle of the purport, there is a beautiful line. He says, by attainment of absolute knowledge, one can be in association with the Lord constantly, even in this present life, simply by hearing, chanting, thinking of and worshipping the Supreme Lord. So again, the previous purport he had referred to this Manmana Bhavo Mad Bhakto verse. The same thing he is mentioning here. By attainment of the absolute knowledge, one can be in constant association of the Lord, even in the present life. So in this present life itself, we can be in constantly association of the Lord. How? Simply by hearing, chanting, thinking, and worshipping the Supreme Lord. So in this lifetime itself, if you want the association of the Lord, these are the activities that we can do. So we'll be in association of the Lord in this life, and when we give up the body, we'll be in association of the Lord in the spiritual world. I'll quickly share the screen. Give me a moment. I hope it had some shortcut to quickly share things and stop it. So what can we learn from Bhagavad Gita, like these last few verses, where we are talking about the Bhagavad Gita and how Arjuna is remembering that? So we can see that Bhagavad Gita, the instruction of the Lord, first of all, it is for all space and all time. It is not for Arjuna alone, but it is for everyone. It is for all space, which means it is not for Indians only. It is not for the Indian region. It is for all space. Everywhere it is valid. And it is not just valid for at that time when it was spoken around 5,000 years ago. It is valid for all the time. And the Bhagavad Gita can be consulted in all critical times. And as we discussed, there are two benefits of doing this. First, we will get solace from the all kind of mental agonies. And the second thing is it can provide the way out of the great entanglement that we have. And the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita will lead us to absorption. And when we are completely absorbed, this will rapidly increase our devotion and the trash in the mind will be going away. And it is, we just talked about, we'll be in constant association of the Lord by regularly hearing, chanting, thinking, and worshipping of the Supreme Lord. So instructions are there, but if we do not actually implement in our life, then all of this thing is not going to happen. We will not be in constant association. We will not get absorption. So instructions are given by the Lord. Now we have to implement them in our life. And if we implement, then we will make progress. We will get the same benefit that Arjuna received from listening to Bhagavad Gita. Okay. Let's now move on, and we will see now how Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is now retiring. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's retirement. So verse number 32. Nishamya Bhagavan Margam Samstham Yadukulasya Cha Swapathaya Matim Chakre Nibrutatma Yudhiṣṭhiraha.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira decided to go back home, back to Godhead.
So you remember the title of this chapter is The Pandavas Retire Timely. So this is what is happening. Now the Pandavas start retiring timely. So understanding, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj understood that after hearing from Arjuna that Lord Shri Krishna has returned to his abode. He also understood that Yadu dynasty is also finished. So that means all the Yadus are also returned. So he's thinking, why am I still here? He has already received the instruction from Narad Muni that till the time Lord Shri Krishna is performing the pastimes here, you be here. All you Pandavas, you can be here. But once he has finished the pastime, you can also finish. So he remembered the instruction that he received from Narad Muni. At that time, he did not think that, oh, instruction I have received, maybe I'll implement that in future. Let me enjoy for another 50 years. And then I will implement. No problem. I have remembered. I remember all the instructions from the Lord and I'm going to implement them. No, he is immediately, as soon as he understood that Lord Shri Krishna has finished his pastime, Yadus have finished his pastime, he's thinking, okay, this is it. He decided to retire and he decided to go back home, back to Godhead. So, next verse is explaining about Kunti Maharani. Pruthapya anushritya dhananjayoditam nasham yadunam bhagavad gatim chatam ekanta bhaktya bhagavatya dokshaje niveshitatmo pararama samsprute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Kunti, after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Sri Krishna, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention and thus gained release from the course of material existence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Kunti heard about same thing that, of course, they were all present there when Arjuna was explaining. So Kunti heard about Krishna and Yadu's disappearance, and she engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, it says. So Kunti heard about this and she engaged in devotional service with full attention, and she went back to Godhead and gained release from the course of material existence. She went back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada explains quite interesting interesting way. He said, she fully engaged herself in the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, which guarantees one, a passport for going back to Godhead after quitting this present material body. So Srila Prabhupada is saying by doing devotional service, we get a passport for going back to Godhead. Now Srila Prabhupada doesn't use the word that we get a visa for going back to Godhead. He says that we get citizenship. We get issued a passport. Why? Because visa can be cancelled. Residency also can be cancelled. But once you got a passport, that means you are the citizen. Then the country cares for you. As you know, in the current situation, like when there were some wars were starting or whatever, then the countries were sending some aeroplanes for evacuating their citizens so that they can safely return. But if you are a visa holder, that may not happen. So, but because you are a passport holder, you are the citizen, then the country is thinking that, oh, they are my responsibility. I will have to do something for them. So similarly, when we do devotional service, we are guaranteed, like we get a passport to the spiritual world. So you are now guaranteed to go there. If there are some issues as well that comes, then the government sends a plane to evacuate. So similarly, the Lord will certainly save us, even if we get into some trouble. As long as you are doing devotional service, if there are challenges, Krishna will sort them out for us. So remember, devotional service gives you a passport to the spiritual world. So if you want the passport, not at some temporary visa, you know what to do. 34th verse. Yaya harad bhuvotaram tam tanum vijaha vajaha kantakam kantake neva dvayam chapishituhu masamam.
Hare Krishna. Vijay. The Supreme Unborn Lord Sri Krishna caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies, and thus he relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn, though both are the same to the controller. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let us read this picking the thorn out with a thorn analogy. It is given in the purport around 2/3 in the purport, where it starts, therefore, the example of picking out a thorn. Who's next for reading? If you can find, therefore, the example of picking out a thorn by another thorn.
Can I
Okay,
read? Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, can I read Prabhuji?
Who's
Therefore,
next? Yeah.
yeah. Therefore, the example of picking out a thorn by another thorn is quite befitting. One thorn which causes pinpricks on the leg of the Lord is certainly disturbing to the Lord, and the other thorn which was out which takes out the disturbing elements certainly gives service to the Lord. So although every living being is a part and parcel of the Lord, still one who is a pinprick to the Lord is called an asura, and the one who is voluntarily servitor of the Lord is called devatas or demigods. In the material world, the devatas and asuras are always contending, and the devatas are always saved from the hands of asuras by the Lord. Both of them are under the control of the Lord. The world is full of two kinds of living beings. The Lord's mission is always to protect the devatas and destroy the asuras whenever there is such a need in the world, and to go and to do good to both of them. Hare Krishna.
So, Shaunakadi rishis who are sitting in front of Suta Goswami can see that they are quite aggrieved to hear that the entire Yadu dynasty, they have departed, and in such a difficult way to understand that they fought with each other and then they have finished. So that is why Suta Goswami is speaking this verse and next few verses as well, that how the Lord has disappeared, how the Yadu dynasty has gone. So that is aggrieving Shaunakadi rishis. That's why these next few verses are mentioned. So here the thorn analogy is given. And he's saying that the Supreme Unborn, the Lord Shri Krishna, caused the members of the Yadu dynasty to relinquish their bodies. As we discussed earlier, that it was Krishna's plan. So Suta Goswami is pacifying them that don't worry, it is looking like that they have fought with each other, but it is Krishna's plan. It was Krishna's plan by which they have done this, and thus he has relieved the burden of the world. This action was like picking out a thorn with a thorn. And Srila Prabhupada has, we just read how beautifully he has explained that one thorn, which is pinprick to the Lord, which is like a asura. But the other thorn, like we take a thorn and with the tip of the thorn, we are trying to remove that pinprick to the Lord. So one thorn is actually giving pain to the Lord, and the another thorn is actually giving service to the Lord. Both are thorns. Both are like from the Lord's perspective, they are both thorns, and he has equal vision towards them. But one thorn is giving service, so he is more biased towards them. So that is why he comes to save the suras, devatas, and then destroy the asuras wherever there is such need. But interesting, the last line says, and to do good to both of them. So whether he's saving the suras or destroying the asuras, he's doing good to both of them. This is the absolute nature of the Lord. Whether he loves or he kills, we still get benefited. So now about the disappearance of the Lord, because that is also quite painful for the Shaunakadi rishis to hear. So he's explaining to them. यथा मस्यादि रूपाणि धत्ते जह्याद यथा नटः भूभारः क्षपितो येन जहो तच्च कलेवरम्.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The Supreme Lord relinquished the body which he manifested to diminish the burden of the earth. Just like a magician, he relinquished one body to accept different one, like the fish incarnation and others. Hare Krishna.
So just like a magician, Lord manifests different forms like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, and apparently he gives up those bodies to accept another one. So magicians shows many magic tricks. He sometimes cut himself to pieces, or he sometimes burned himself to ashes. But all of these are false. He is neither cut nor burnt. Similarly, Lord is also showing his magic. He is actually eternal. He is completely spiritual inside and out. And he does not take material body like us. So there is no question of he being killed. He just appears and disappears. And Srila Prabhupada is giving the analogy either in this one or the previous one somewhere he had given that analogy that when the sun rises and sun sets, it is not that the sun has taken birth and then sun has died. The sun, it exists eternally, but it is not visible to our eyes anymore. So similarly, whether it is Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha, or Lord Shri Krishna, they are all eternally present. They are just appearing and disappearing in front of us. So he's pacifying the Shaunakadi rishis, saying that it is just a magic trick of the Lord. He had just disappeared from our eyes. Do not be too aggrieved. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, can we ask a question here?
Yeah, sure, Mataji.
Just this translation, what it says, the Supreme Lord relinquished the body. So are we talking here about the bodies of others or his own body which he manifested? Because it can't be a burden, no, his own body.
No, it is not talking about the burden. He comes here to diminish the burden of the earth. So you remember like why Lord appeared? So Mother Earth went to Brahmaji, and then all of them, like Brahmaji, went to pray to Lord Shri Krishna, saying that there is this burden on me. So Earth is complaining that all these kings who are not following any religious principles, they have become burden on me. So that is why the Lord appeared. So it is mentioned that he manifested to diminish the burden on the earth.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is why he appeared. And he's saying, just like the magician, it seems that he has relinquished his body, but that is not the case because he is eternal. So he cannot relinquish, like die, like you and me. So that is what is mentioned here.
Okay. Thank
Is
you.
that clear?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, can I also ask a question
Yeah,
regarding
sure,
this?
Mata.
So, Prabhuji, I think I read somewhere in Bhagavatam only that now Arjuna did Daha Sanskar for Krishna. So, how does we reconcile that?
Yeah, so say Krishna is the controller of the material energy. So if he's the controller of the material energy, is it difficult for him when he's returning to the spiritual world in his spiritual body to leave back some material remains? It is not impossible for him. It is easy for him. And to confuse the people who are atheist, he generally sometimes does like that. So he leaves behind something, and even though he is inside out spiritual, then when he is leaving from here, he left behind a so-called material body of his. Okay.
So basically, in order to increase the faith of the atheist, that look, he takes birth and he dies and he's dead. Like some faith is this, that God is dead. So
Yes.
for that, he manifested this pastime.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And
Prabhuji.
those who have faith, for them, it doesn't matter. They know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is eternal. He is spiritual inside out. And they understand that just by piercing a thumb off your foot by an arrow, no one dies.
Yes.
Like you and me cannot also die just by some arrow is shot onto our thumb. So how can the Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even if someone thinks that he is not a Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is an ordinary person, or maybe just a powerful person in this world, they should understand that it is not possible for him to die just by some piercing, like some finger, some toe. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one more question. Can I ask now or later?
Let's see, what is the time? Oh, 10:15. Can we park few more some questions? I want to actually complete this chapter today, and because
Sure.
of technical difficulties, I started late. So
No.
let me finish. Please write it down somewhere so that you don't forget, and we will take the questions.
I've already written it down.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. We are on verse number 36 now, right? Yeah. यथा मुकुन्दो भगवान् इमां महिं जहो स्वतन्वा श्रवणीय सत्कथः तदा हरे वा प्रतिबुद्धचेतसाम् अभद्रहेतु कलिरन् ववर्तत.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. When the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, left this earthly planet in his self-same form, from that very day, Kali, who had already partially appeared, became fully manifest to create inauspicious conditions for those who are endowed with a poor fund of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So when Krishna left, Kali appeared and fully manifested his presence. And it is quite interesting that the translation is also saying that Kali creates inauspicious conditions only for some people. Who are those people? People who have poor intelligence. What is the poor intelligence? Thinking that we are this material body. Thinking that Krishna is also material instead of spiritual. For those people, Kali Yuga will have lot of effect. Thinking that Krishna is not supreme, Krishna had material body and he left it behind. Not having faith in him is the sign of poor intelligence. And for them, Kali creates inauspicious conditions. Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, based on this translation, that we can counter Kali by becoming Krishna conscious. So if we are Krishna conscious, then Kali will not have any effect on us. So we have to sharpen our intelligence, purify our intelligence. From poor intelligence, we have to become Buddha, Dhira, Sthita Prajna, like all of those things which are mentioned when we were reading Bhagavad Gita. So we have to sharpen our intelligence. We have to become Krishna conscious, and then Kali Yuga will not have any effect on us. So now Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is what he did. Now he has decided to retire. So what he's doing. Let us read the translations only. Who's next?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira was intelligent enough to understand the influence of age of Kali, characterized by increasing avarice, falsehood, cheating, and violence throughout the capital, state, home, and among the individuals. So he wisely prepared himself to leave home and he dressed accordingly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj had already seen the symptoms of Kali Yuga in his kingdom. Even before Arjuna arrived, he was, like in the previous chapter, we saw that he was seeing all the symptoms of Kali. And he had already concluded that looking at the symptoms, maybe Krishna had left this world. And now it was already confirmed by Arjuna that all of this increased greed, falsehood, cheating, and violence at home, state, capital, etc., is all because Krishna has left and Kali has manifested. So, seeing all of this, he decided this place is not for me. He decided to leave home, and so he dressed accordingly, it is mentioned. Just in the previous verse, we had seen that for the devotees, by developing Krishna consciousness, Kali doesn't have any effect. So why then Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj decided by looking at this Kali's symptoms to actually give up everything? Actually, there was no need for Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj to worry because he is completely Krishna conscious. So the Kali was not going to affect him. But he remembers the instructions from Narad Muni. Narada had already said that when Krishna is here, you be here. So that was one that he couldn't tolerate. He had to actually follow the instructions of Narad Muni. Second thing, he was not able to tolerate the separation from the Lord. That was the second reason. And Srila Prabhupada gives another reason in the purport. He's saying that he wanted to set a good example in front of others. As soon as, what is a good example? As soon as there is some young fellow to look after the household affairs, one should at once retire from family life to uplift oneself to spiritual realization. And then he continues saying further that all the politicians and basically all the leaders, they have to actually take Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj's example and follow. That as soon as there is someone who is available to take up those responsibilities, someone capable. It is not that you just give it to someone who is not ready or not capable. But for Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, he had Parikshit Maharaj, who was as capable or even better, because we have seen his, like when he was born, all the Brahmanas had predicted what kind of qualities Parikshit Maharaj is going to have. So from those, it appeared that Parikshit Maharaj is even going to be better king than Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. So seeing and knowing all of that, he said that, okay, someone is available to take care of this kingdom, who is as capable or more capable than me. And Narad Muni has already given the instruction, and I can't live without Krishna, so I better go. So that is how he decided. 38th verse, next one.
Thereafter, in the capital of Hastinapur, He enthroned his grandson, who was trained and equally qualified as the emperor and master of all land bordered by the seas.
So he has now made Parikshit Maharaj the king of this kingdom, whose capital was Hastinapur. Parikshit Maharaj, it is mentioned here, he was equally qualified and was well trained by Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. So he had taken time, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, for so many years, he had taken the time to actually train Parikshit Maharaj. He is the only heir left for the kingdom. So all the Pandavas have trained him properly. So now when the right time came, they knew that he is qualified. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj installed him as the king. Now remember all these chapters in the past that we have been seeing, that Krishna's disappearance, and before that we saw Dhritarashtra quit home. All of that was for this one verse that we have seen here. That finally Parikshit Maharaj became the king. Because the original question was, please tell me about Parikshit Maharaj's birth, activities, and death. So birth has been explained. Now the activities are going on. And one of the activity was that he became the king. So all these hundreds of pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, we talked about after the birth of Emperor Parikshit, actually the next, which was the chapter 12. After that, this 13th chapter, 14th chapter, and now 15th chapter also, so many verses that we have seen, they were explained for this one verse, that Parikshit Maharaj was installed as the king. And what was the background? What was the context? So finally, Parikshit Maharaj has become the king of the kingdom. Next verse, 39.
Then he posted Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, the grandson of Lord Krishna, at Mathura as the king of Surasena. Afterwards, Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira performed Prajapatya sacrifice and placed himself the fire of quitting household life.
So just like he installed Parikshit as the king of the kingdom, where Hastinapur is the capital, same way he made Vajra, the son of Aniruddha, which is Krishna's grandson. Vajra is Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha is his son, and Vajra is the grandson. So he installed him as the king of Mathura. And after that, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj did this Prajapatya sacrifice and placed in himself the fire of quitting the household life. What it means is that he decided. So after that sacrifice, he has taken Vanaprastha life. And Srila Prabhupada actually focusing this purport on Vanaprastha life. What is the importance of the retired life? He's saying that at least 15 to 20 years prior to death, so 15 to 20 years before death, we should be completely focused on devotional service to the Lord. And that is why this Vanaprastha ashram is decided or created. And it is, he's saying, Srila Prabhupada is saying that it is suicidal policy to engage oneself in material enjoyment till the end of the life. So if you remain in the material enjoyment and fruitive activities till the end of life, it is like making another, like doing suicide. So as soon as you are able to pass on the grihastha life, like all the whatever empire that you have created, material empire, you pass it on to the next generation, then you should retire and spend at least 15-20 years into the Vanaprastha life, where you are completely focused on devotional service. You do not have the burden of the material responsibilities. So that is what everyone has to do. Verse number 40. Now these few verses, 40 to 44, so 5 verses, are explaining about the renunciation of Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, and also, yeah, I think only for the Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, and then the remaining Pandavas is coming after that. 40.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira at once relinquished all his garments, belt, and ornaments of the royal order and became completely disinterested and unattached to everything. Hare Krishna.
So he's going to Vanaprastha. So he did not say that, okay, let me take some gold, jewels, good clothes, and whatever, so that I can happily stay in the forest. No, he gave up his royal garments, his belt, his ornaments of the royal order, everything he gave up. And he completely became disinterested and unattached to everything. And then we will see what did he do. Let's read 41 and 42 translations together.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Then he amalgamated all the sense organs into the mind, and then the mind into life, the life into breathing, his total existence into the embodiment of the five elements, and his body into that. Then, as pure self, he became free from material conception of life. Thus, enlightening the gross body of five elements into the three collective modes of material nature, he merged them into one neo-science and then absorbed the neo-science in the self, Brahman, which is inexhaustible in all circumstances. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Quite technical verses. So basically it is saying that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, whatever material things that he had, he offered it to Prakriti, and the self, which is spiritual, he offered it to the Supreme Lord. And in this case, it is mentioned that he offered it to Brahman. So he merged his senses into mind, mind into life, life into apana, like prana into apana, body into death, five elements into three gunas, merged. Then that he merged it to Prakriti, and everything finally into self. That is what is mentioned here. So basically, he detached completely from all the material things, and all his desires were completely became spiritual. And finally, he offered himself completely to the Supreme Lord Krishna. So that is what it is mentioned. 43rd.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. After that, Maharaja Yudhiṣṭhira dressed himself in torn clothing, gave up eating all solid foods, voluntarily became dumb, and let his hair hang loose. All this combined to make him look like an urchin or madman with no occupation. He did not depend on his brothers for anything, and just like a deaf man, he heard nothing. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. So he wore torn clothing. Now he's the king of the world, but now he has given up everything. So he has put on some torn clothing. He stopped eating and speaking as well. So no eating, no speaking, no solid food he is eating now. And he's not even speaking to anyone. He is voluntarily have become like a deaf madman. And earlier, as a king, he was dependent on his brothers, because brothers like Arjuna and Bhima, they were providing protection to the kingdom. Nakul and Sahadev were also helping him managing. But now he did not depend on his brothers. Or actually, he did not depend on anything except for Lord Shri Krishna. So he has completely entered into that Vanaprastha, and he has completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. He is materially completely detached and completely attached to the Supreme Lord. 44th verse.
Hare Krishna. He then started towards the north, treading the path accepted by his forefathers and great men, to devote himself completely to the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he lived in that way wherever he went.
So he started towards the north. North means he is going towards Himalaya. And he is following in the footsteps of the great souls. So what did the great souls do? What generally the great souls are doing? They devote themselves completely to the Supreme Lord. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj also decided that, okay, I'm also completely devote myself to the Supreme Lord. All the great souls have followed this path. Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj decided to follow that path, giving and he lived in that way wherever he went. So it is the actual right way of our life. Krishna has given even if you actually want to follow this step-by-step process of going towards the spiritual life, which is called Varnashram Dharma, which is the gradual step-by-step way of going and moving towards the Supreme Lord. Even if you want to follow that path, then at a point in time, when you have done your brahmacharya life, then you have gone into grihastha life, you have to actually get ready into going into vanaprastha life. And in that retired life, it is not that now you are having free time so you can go different holiday destinations or do some other hobbies that you couldn't do before. No, that retired life is for completely focusing on the Supreme Lord. And that is the right way of living our life, because the human life is meant for self-realization. And okay, maybe in the beginning we were getting ready in the student life, we were earning our degrees and wanting, then in the grihastha life we were expanding our family, at the same time had to work hard. All of that is there. Half of our life is gone in that. Now, at least for some years, we have to actually detach ourselves from those material things, material activities, and focus completely on the spiritual progress. And that is why this Vanaprastha ashram is developed. And of course, after that comes sannyas. But in the Kali Yuga, there is no need to actually take that sannyas. So even remaining in Vanaprastha, we can make a progress. But the important thing is that retired life is not for raising grandchildren or getting attached. Like we were attached to our children before, now we are attached to our grandchildren. Then we want to see their marriage, and then we want to see their even great grandchildren. So all of this attachment will just keep us in this entangled in this material world. We have to get ready. Like they are, like the children are standing on their own feet. They are earning. They are living their own life. Why we have to get entangled into their life now? Now that they are independent, you focus on Krishna. So that is the way that we can make progress, and that is the way that the great people and his forefathers had followed that path, and he's seeing that and he's also doing the same. And looking at the great devotees like Pandavas following that path from the Grihastha ashram, they are gone into Vanaprastha. We can also actually think about it. We don't have to go to Himalaya, but at least we can develop material detachment and develop more spiritual attachment when we are thinking of retiring or when we have retired. So that is what we can do. We have opportunity to go and stay in the holy dham, or engage ourselves more and more wherever we are in Krishna's service, and that way we can be in our vanaprastha. Okay, so Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj has retired like this. Now let us see what other Pandavas are doing. 45th verse.
The younger brothers of Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira observed that the age of Kali had already arrived throughout the world and that the citizens of the kingdom were already affected by irreligious practice. Therefore, they decided to follow in the footsteps of their elder brother.
So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj is following his forefathers and the great saintly people, and other Pandavas are following Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. So Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj has retired. Looking at him, Pandavas also decided to follow Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, and they started meditating on the lotus feet of the Lord. Yeah. Next verse.
Hare Krishna. They all had performed all the principles of religion, and as a result, rightly decided that the lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna are the supreme goal of all. Therefore, they meditated upon his feet without interruption. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So they had performed all principles of religion, and as a result, they decided to focus on the lotus feet of the Lord. So because they were so intelligent and they had the ability to study all the scriptures and follow all the Vedic principles, they have done all of that. And then they have concluded that the best thing is to actually focus our mind onto Lord's lotus feet without interruption. If we do that, that is the ultimate. So that is why they are meditating on the Lord's lotus feet without interruption. And Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here in the purport that those who are impious, they are not able to take shelter of Lord's lotus feet. They somehow or the other are not able to develop the desire to focus on the Lord's lotus feet. But Pandavas are not impious. They are pure, they are pious. And that's why they are able to do it. 47-48.
Thus, by pure consciousness, due to the constant devotional remembrance, they attained the spiritual sky, which is ruled over by the Supreme Narayana, Lord Krishna. This is attained only by those who meditate upon the one Supreme Lord without deviation. This abode of the Lord Sri Krishna, known as Goloka Vrindavan, cannot be attained by persons who are absorbed in the material conception of life. But the Pandavas, being completely washed of all material contaminations, attain the abode in their very same bodies.
So due to the constant devotional remembrance, it is mentioned. So constant devotional remembrance. I'm not sure whether you are seeing this theme that when it was mentioned about Kunti Maharani, how she left, it was mentioned. What was that verse? Where is that gone? Earthly planet, Maharaj Yudhiṣṭhira was intelligent enough. And then thereafter, capital of Hastinapur, he put 39.
33, Prabhuji.
Was it 33? Oh, it was a long time ago. Thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So in 33rd, third verse, it was mentioned that Kunti Maharani was doing it with full attention. Okay. So she was doing her devotional service with full attention. Then for Pandavas, it is mentioned that they are doing, for Arjuna and Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj as well, it was mentioned the constant remembrance was there. For Arjuna, it was mentioned earlier. And now here as well for previous verse and this verse, it is talking about the constant devotional remembrance. So this is like the ahaituki, apratihata that was talked before. That it has to be ahaituki without any devotion, without any other motivation, material motivation, and apratihata means it has to be constant, uninterrupted. So that is what is happening with these Pandavas as well. So thus by pure consciousness, due to constant devotional remembrance, they attained the spiritual sky. So they went to the spiritual abode of Lord Shri Krishna, which is Goloka Vrindavan. And it is mentioned again here that it is possible for only those who meditate upon the Lord without deviation. Without deviation. That we can't get deviated in between that, okay, 99% Krishna, but 1% some other Devata, or 1% my own enjoyment. If we are actually like that, then there is a deviation. But only those who are doing the bhakti without deviation, Ananya Bhakti, for them it is said that we can attain the Supreme Lord. so we can attain the love for the Supreme Lord and we can go back to Godhead. Those who are in material consciousness cannot achieve this because there is a material contamination is there, but Pandavas had no material desires. So they were able to achieve the abode in the same body. In the same body they had achieved. So how can one achieve Goloka in the same body? So Srila Prabhupada is quoting Jiva Goswami. So Jiva Goswami actually gives an example here. He said that suppose someone is not born in Brahmana family, but if he follows the instruction of his guru, he follows the guidance which is given to him, and he implements those in his life and develops the qualities of the Brahmana, then he has become a Brahmana without changing his body. It is not that now that he has developed some qualities of the Brahmana, then he has to die and then in the next life he will become a Brahmana. No, in this same life, because of the guidance that he has taken from the Guru and the qualities that he has developed, he became a Brahmana. Similarly, by following the guidance of the Guru, we can go to Goloka without changing the body. So that is how Srila Prabhupada has explained how they were able to go to Goloka in the same body. What it means is that in this life itself, without quitting their body, they were part of Goloka. And it is not hard to imagine because many of our Gaudiya Vaishnava saints as well, we know that they were going and being part of the Goloka and Radha Krishna's Leela, even when they were in this body. So we have these stories of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and other Goswamis as well, other 6 Goswamis. So they were being part of the Krishna Leela, even when they were in this body. So in the same way, here it is mentioned that Pandavas were part of those. They went to Goloka in the same body. 49th verse. What happened to Vidura? And what happened to Draupadi afterwards in the 50th verse? Vidura's verse 49.
Vidura, while on pilgrimage, left his body at Prabhasa because he was absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. He was received by denizens of Pitraloka planet, where he returned to his original post.
So Vidura, while he was on a pilgrimage, he left his body at Prabhasa. You remember Vidura had left with Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra and Gandhari had left their body, but Vidura had actually gone on pilgrimage. So while he was on pilgrimage, he left his body at Prabhas. And he was absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. So, but he actually, even though he was absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, he went back to Pitraloka, it is mentioned. Why? Because Vidura is no other than Vidura was no other than Yamaraj. And we have seen the story earlier that how Yamaraj was cursed by this Manduka Muni. And then he was asked to become a Shudra. So because of that curse. So Yamaraj then came as Vidura and became a Shudra here. And then he was performing his duty. So once now he has completed his part, that after that curse was finished, now he was going back to his original location, Pitraloka, where as a Yamaraj he is going to rule and continue to do his duty. What happened to Draupadi? Next verse.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Draupadi also saw that her husbands, without caring for her, were leaving home. She knew well about Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Both she and Subhadra became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna and attained the same results as their husbands.
Thank you. So Draupadi and Subhadra also became absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And they attained the same destination as their husbands. So what are the same destinations? In the same body, they were also Krishna conscious completely and they reached Goloka. So that is the same result as well. They received both Draupadi and Subhadra. Now this purport which is there is one of the most quoted, or like it's a very famous purport of Srila Prabhupada. Many people actually quotes this, and especially uh, the example of flying the plane which is given. So let us read that purport. Who's next to read?
I start
Shak-
from the beginning.
Yeah.
When flying an airplane, one cannot take care of other planes. Everyone has to take care of his own plane, and if there is any danger, no other plane can help another in that condition. Similarly, at the end of life, when one has to go back home, back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself without help rendered by another. The help is, however, offered on the ground before flying in space. Similarly, the spiritual master, the father, the mother, the relatives, the husband, and others can all render help during one's lifetime. But while crossing the sea, one has to take care of himself and utilize the instructions formerly received. Draupadi had 5 husbands, and no one asked Draupadi to come. Draupadi had to take care of herself without waiting for her great husbands. And because she was already trained, she at once took to concentration upon the lotus feet of Lord Vasudev, Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The wives also got the same result as their husbands in the same manner, that is to say, without changing their bodies, they reached the destination of Godhead. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur suggests that both Draupadi and Subhadra, altogether her name is not mentioned herein, got the same result. None of them had to quit the body. Hare Krishna.
So we have to fly our own plane. So most of the preachers who would have heard in the past would somewhere or the other they will use this example. We have to fly our own plane. So no one else, when we are flying the plane, no one else can help you. Of course, the help can be there when you are on the ground. Before you get onto the plane and become a pilot, there will be a lot of training that will be given to you, and all other help which is available, which is also only on the ground. But once you are trained like that, then when you are flying the plane, you are on your own. No one can help us at that time. Similarly, for going back to Godhead, everyone has to take care of himself or herself without any help rendered by the others. Help will be available on the ground level. All the training from the spiritual masters or the parents or the husband or the spouse, relatives, devotees, all that is help that is available. But at the time of death, which is our final flight, at that time, no one can help you at that time. You have to fly your own plane. And we were going to talk a little bit more in the next 10 minutes or so. So let us finish this next verse and we will come back and spend 10 minutes on this flying our own plane. Last verse of the chapter, 51.
The subject of the departure of the sons of Pandu for the ultimate goal of life, back to Godhead, is fully auspicious and is perfectly pure. Therefore, anyone who hears this narration with devotional faith certainly gains the devotional service of the Lord, the highest perfection of life.
So there is this benediction or Falashruti which is there. So the subject of Pandavas going back to Godhead is fully auspicious and fully pure. Anyone who hears this will gain faith. Like, of course, anyone who hears with faith gains devotion to the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport that Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is the narration about the personality of Godhead and his devotees. And anyone, like if the devotees who are listening to this with devotion, they can attain perfection and they can also go back to Godhead, just like the Pandavas have gone back. We can also go back to Godhead just by reading Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and implementing the instructions of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam into our life. So now that hopefully all of you were hearing with faith. If any of you are hearing with faith, we are going to gain devotion to the Lord by the benediction of Suta Goswami here and benediction of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So that is how we have completed this chapter. But let us spend some time on flying our own plane. So what is the meaning of flying our own plane? Like we have read the purport and we have discussed this. So I want to hear a few thoughts about what is the implication, what is the lesson, what can we learn from it? Flying our own plane. Yes, Sudharma Mataji or Sudharma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. I think like you and Mataji and all giving us so much of training, and you are getting our guru's like Shabda as well. But it's up to individual person to take or observe how much we implement in our life, which is going to take us to the spiritual world or Goloka. So it's up to us to run our own flight. Nobody else is going to, help us then.
Yes, it's a personal responsibility. Actually, this is indicating there is personal responsibility that is there. You actually raised quite good points, Mataji, that each one of us have personal responsibility. We can actually receive hundreds of instructions and from lots of wonderful devotees or not so wonderful devotees, whatever. But finally, if we do not follow those instructions in our day-to-day life, everything will become in vain. So that personal responsibility has to be there. Yeah. Next, Pamendra Prabhu.
So again, just repeating what Mataji said, based on spiritual guru advice, based on scriptures, and based on teachings from other devotees, there was a path which is attending the Godhead, process for it as well. So we have to follow that, and at some instance, we have to get rid of pretty much all the relationships that we have. So in material world, we have to care as a brother, as a son, as a daughter, or as a parent, depending on what those relationships are. So we have to untie those knots and completely focus in one direction, which is attending one's perspection. We can still guide while in material world those around us, but after a point, we have to let everything go. Pretty much there will be their choice, and we have to be by our own choice.
Yeah, so we have to still do our duty. Thank you, Prabhuji. We have to still do our duty towards all our relatives and whatever. And at a particular time, when the duty is completed, then we can take the Vanaprastha and then fly our own plane at that point. Whatever training that we have received, then that has to be whatever instructions we have received, we have to put that into practice. Yes, thank you. Vishakha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I don't have anything else to say, but yes, ultimately this life is ours and we have to live our life. Someone else can't live on behalf of us. They can guide us. So it's up to us how we take the instructions. And it's in life, you will be put into different situations by chance, but at the end, it's your choice how you respond to them. So same.
Absolutely. So we have to live our life. So similarly, we have to chant our own rounds. We can't actually hire someone every day and say that, hey, this is 2 hours. I am paying you for 2 hours. You complete my 16 rounds. Every day you come and chant. No, that's of no use. We have to do our own sadhana. We have to live our own spiritual life.
At the same time, Prabhuji, I'm sorry, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
we have to not depend so much on others because we have to take our own responsibility. Because
we can depend on the Lord, we can depend on the devotees that is there, but that dependence itself that can actually give the devotees can give us instructions, but they can't chant our own rounds. We have to do that ourselves. So that is why this endeavor and mercy we talk about, right, every time. So this part, flying our own plane, is talking about our own endeavor. We have talked about mercy for a lot of time. But this part is focusing on flying our own plane means we have to actually also be responsible for doing our endeavors. Finally, we are going to go by mercy. But if there are no endeavors, then our flight is not going to take off. Yes, right. Sanyas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji. It must be quite early morning, Prabhu, for you.
Yes, yes, Prabhu. I'm used to it.
Jai.
Yes, Prabhu. Prabhuji, this is the verse which we discussed at the end of we leaving Palmerston Earth and with our association and everything. And this
Oh,
is the verse,
nice.
which is the verse which is actually made everyone to no more argue. So this has three implications which I found. Actually, why it was not drive your own car or not drive your own bus, but it was said fly your own flight. Why is that? Because there's no base.
Correct.
There is no base actually. Vanapasta is a lifestyle. There's no base. But there is a goal. And this base, and because this goal is there, and this can't fall out immediately. Because that is the force which is holding on that flight to be in that force to not to fall down. But the time when we lose that focus, the time when we don't know the destination where we're going, but this journey becomes very, very, very hurdle. So before, and also the thing is when you're flying, you can't even take care of the people who are on the ground. The first implication is like you flying your own flight means you, by the time you come to Vanaprastha ashram, by the time you have to be equipped everything into your man, buddhi, ahankar. So it's not maintaining the physical body, it's living with your subtle body. So physical body is no more main important, that it's only becomes secondary. But until Grihastha ashram, the physical body becomes more stronger and more thing, but subtle body you're training yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. I think, yeah, because of the interest of time, we will just cut it short, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm finishing that one. So in that way, I understood that one, that the subtle man buddhi, like when we get into that one and when we fly our flight, in that way, we are flying our own thing with that knowledge and then things. And the second thing is, we are also coming out of from this attachment of material things are down. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for wonderful realization shared by everyone. So few points which we have, I think most of you have already covered. I'm just summarizing them here. So first one is, no one can do our bhakti for us. Flying our own plane means no one can do our bhakti for us. We must practice it ourselves. As I was giving that example, we can't hire someone for chanting our rounds. If we hire someone to chanting our rounds, that person is going to go back to Godhead. We may not go. So we have to actually do our bhakti ourselves. Other point is, for the flight, because the help is not going to be coming at that point, that the last flight, at the time of death, we have to prepare for that now. We can't prepare at the time of death. At the final moment, no one is going to help us. If we haven't practiced and prepared throughout our life, then we are going to remain in this material world. So if we want to actually be successful in our final flight, then we have to prepare for it now. Then Guru can guide us. Guru, relatives, whoever, like Guru in the Guru is one. So whoever is helping us in spiritually, they can guide us before the final flight. But that cannot replace our own realization. What it means is, we need to actually have our own practice. because they can give us a lot of instructions, and from those instructions we have to actually do our practice, and through that practice we have to develop our own internal realizations. We can't have just the dependent mentality. Like dependency on Krishna is different, but what I'm saying here is we can't be dependent on Guru's realization that he has practiced, he has done it, yes, and based on those realizations, they are giving us that these are something that can work out. But just based on those instructions, if we do not follow anything, then we are not going to go back to Godhead. We have to apply those instructions. So basically, hearing is not enough. Hearing is the beginning. We must apply what we have heard. That will make sure that we are successful in our final flight. So there are, I hope I'm sharing the screen. Yeah, I was. Okay. So there are few important questions that we can ask ourselves. 3 important questions which are there on the screen. I was hoping to discuss them, but at least you can note it down, and that way you can meditate on these questions. First one, in my current spiritual life, where am I dependent on others instead of taking personal responsibility? So which area we are just completely dependent on others without taking personal responsibility? See, again, don't get confused. I'm not saying that we should not be dependent on the devotees, on the Lord, and mercy is very important. But by mercy, we can get some service. By mercy, we can get some instructions and all of that. But without actually following those instructions, we are not going to go back. So are there any areas where we haven't taken the personal responsibility yet? Second one, what specific practices am I doing daily that will actually help me at the time of death? How much time we are spending on it, what kind of activities that we are doing, what practices we are doing, which are going to help me in our final flight. And the third question is, what is one instruction of Guru or Shastra that I have heard but not yet fully applied in my life? So always remember, like this is one statement which is actually a bit tweaked. A Greek poet has mentioned this, but we have tweaked it for our benefit. At the time of death, we don't rise to the level of our knowledge. At the time of death, we don't rise to our level of knowledge. We fall to the level of our practice. What does that mean? For example, think of a student who has read the entire textbook, but he has not practiced solving the problems. So what will happen in the exam? He doesn't perform based on what he has read. He performs based on what he has practiced. Isn't it? So we may have actually attended lots of classes. We may have heard lots of instructions, and we may have memorized lots of verses. At the time of death, Krishna is not going to take an exam on philosophy. Krishna is going to see what you have practiced. So that is the most important part we can take away, that this one thing that if you remember on the screen with currently, at the time of death, Krishna will not test what we know. He will reveal what we have practiced. So don't wait till the end, final flight. We have to actually practice now. And if we have practiced now properly, then at the time of death, it will be revealed. Okay. So some things that we can do practically with our day-to-day sadhana. One thing is, of course, chant with attention. So we can always chant with attention instead of doing mechanically, as attentively as possible. And build a daily remembrance routine, some habits that we have to develop. That, for example, after waking up, you remember Krishna. At work, if there is some difficult time, you remember Krishna. During challenges, we remember Krishna. So some daily remembrance habits that we have to develop. Then convert our knowledge that is there into practice and develop our own realization. And then practice some detachment regularly, gradually, not suddenly at the end of the life. So these are some of the practical things that we can do to fly our own plane successfully at the time of departure from this material world. So we'll pause here and we will see if there are any summary points that from the session or any specific point that you liked, touched your heart, or any questions or comments that you have. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, first one is Bharadwaj Rishi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It's in terms of reflection, I think this is excellent, and like to retrospect where we are and what we should do and what's the reality. It's kind of a reality hit movement. But Prabhuji, I have a few questions, but I'm sorry, it may deviate from the wonderful that mood that you have set, because the questions are like little technical. I can post them in the group, Prabhuji, later on. That's
Yeah,
not a
that's
problem.
fine, Prabhu. Okay, that is
I'll
good.
post them in the group. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Who's next? Gaurachandra Prabhu or Mataji? Yeah, Shama Kumari Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful session. A few points that I noted today is that the activity that pleases the Lord is called yoga. That is for the very first time I'm hearing, and really beautiful. Because until now I was thinking yoga means connecting with the Lord, but actually activity that pleases the Lord is actually yoga. And the second point that you mentioned here, that karma means how jiva uses prakriti. We can use prakriti in two ways, that is for our own enjoyment and in the service of the Lord. When we use it for own enjoyment, it causes entanglement, and when we use it in the service of the Lord, it is freedom. It brings freedom, and that freedom of course comes with the purification of the heart. And Prabhuji, my question is that in verse 20, when Arjuna finally tells Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj that Krishna has passed away, he has left the world, and then he after passing this message to Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, he then started pacifying himself by himself. So how can we understand that? Like in the very beginning, he was so sad and morose when he came, that Yudhiṣthira Maharaj saw his face and he understood that something wrong has happened. And then he described what has happened. And then he glorified that how Krishna, when Krishna was present, how we were like, but now how we are feeling. And then he himself started pacifying himself. How can we understand that?
Everything takes time, Mataji. I think when suddenly something happens, that situation actually hits you hard. And at that time, you are not able to think anything else, because that separation, the deep attachment that Arjuna had with Lord Shri Krishna, he was not able to think anything further. He was just deeply involved into it. But actually, if you see, it was not that he forgot everything. He received the instruction. Actually, when the Lord finished his pastime, he sent Daruka, his charioteer, back to Dwarka to pass this message that they should actually leave Dwarka and everyone should actually go back. Whoever is remaining, they should go back to Hastinapur with Arjuna. So Arjuna received this instruction that, oh, I have actually this duty to do. So he took everyone together and then he was going back. So he was doing his duty. Then he actually had to fight with those coward people. So he was doing that duty as well. But actually he got again overwhelmed when he met Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj. So, and actually, I have seen this personally as well, that when somebody, for example, very close to you passes away, so when you actually hear this news, you cry a lot. But when you actually meet your near and dear ones, even though you had pacified from that previous lamentation, when you meet your near and dear ones, again you actually start crying, isn't it? And this is exactly what is happening with Arjuna. Arjuna is now meeting Yudhishthira Maharaj, and both love Krishna. So as soon as they both meet, they are over, like Arjuna is overwhelmed again with the emotion. And because of that, he is crying again. And of course, he hasn't completely recovered. He's feeling that separation. And it has hit him again in that emotional phase. And slowly he has spoken about it. He has mentioned, glorified Krishna, and again he pacifies himself. So he's going through these cycles that he has got emotionally overwhelmed. So emotionally overwhelmed means mind is overpowering everything. Whereas slowly he comes back to his senses, then intelligence, which is more powerful than the mind, intelligence is now remembering the Bhagavad Gita and controlling his mind, and then he is getting pacified. So it is like just the natural way.
Yeah, Prabhuji, now that you have explained it, now I can relate to it that when someone near and dear passes away, yeah, that's true. That in the very beginning we cry, and then we pacify our own self, and then we meet someone, we again cry. Meet our relatives, we again cry, and then we pacify them, and we pacify ourselves as well.
Yes,
So
yes.
basically, the hole in the heart still remains there, but then the super soul from inside probably starts pacifying us. And it seems that we are pacifying our own self.
Yeah. When this emotions, initial emotions, they actually little bit over a period of time, they slightly reduce, and then we are able to, like, intelligence can again think. And that is what is happening here. So Arjuna is remembering those instructions from Krishna and then becoming peaceful again. And that separation is still increasing his attachment to Krishna, though.
Yes, thank you so much.
Deeply. Okay.
Beautiful explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you
Hare
so much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lochana Harini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Sorry, I have some technical issues, so I joined late. Wonderful session as per always, and I love the discussion we had around, flying our own plane. Very, very insightful, and I've made some points as well. My question, Prabhuji, is around, I think, the verse number 30, text 39, where we were discussing about 15, 20 years before dying or before leaving this body, we should kind of dedicate our lives towards serving Krishna. There's some bit of a dilemma here. I wanted to clarify from with you. Let's say in our earlier stages of our life, like, I don't know, anyone can die anytime, nobody knows that. But if we start to have some sort of detachment towards, our material duty and stuff like that, and you think like, oh, wish there was a way we could have served Lord all the time. Is it like a mind playing a trick, trying to switch to escapism, like escaping from the challenges of the world, or is there any genuine interest in serving the Lord? So can you throw some light on that type of thought process, Prabhuji, please?
So you're saying that because it is mentioned that we have to actually develop some detachment in the last 15, 20 years and attach to
Yes.
Krishna. And
Yeah.
while doing our duty, if you start developing that detachment towards our near and dear ones, then is
Earlier
it
in life,
appropriate?
not towards old
Earlier.
age. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So one important thing we should always remember is that each ashrama that we enter, and this is actually based on Her Grace Urmila Mataji's lecture that I had heard about Varnashram Dharma some time ago. She
Yeah.
beautifully explained that each ashrama has its own enjoyment and there is a price to pay for it. So the student life, the brahmachari ashram, there is some enjoyment. That means you are a student, you are taken care of. So that is the enjoyment that is there. You can actually freely read your books, study the scriptures, and everything else is taken care of for you. But there is a price to pay that means you have to be completely surrendered to the guru, and you have to actually, you are not independent, you can't take your own decisions or whatever, some price that you have to pay. Grihastha ashram has its own enjoyment. It is the only ashram which allows the man and woman to come together at the same time. That enjoyment, plus when the children are there, when they are growing up, they are completely dependent on you, and they give lot of joy. But then, of course, there is the price to pay for that ashram as well. That the husband and wife uh, will not always have the same. They are not the same person. So of course, there are going to be some differences between them, which needs to be tolerated by each other. Plus, there is a responsibility that is there that comes with the enjoyment that we take. The children needs to be taken care of for their, like, till they become independent and they are standing on their own feet, all of that. The husband and wife also have to actually do their duty together towards each other and towards the grahastha. So similarly, the enjoyment and the price to pay is given.
Yeah.
If we actually take the enjoyment from our ashrama and are not ready to pay the price for it, then we become thief. For example, if you go to a restaurant, you order multiple dishes, you eat them, and then
Yeah.
you say that I do not have any money, I'm going. So that means they will say, "Arey, you are a thief. You have
Go and wash the
purchased."
dishes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
similarly, in our grihastha life as well, when we have taken from that ashrama, but now when it comes to pay our price, to do our responsibility properly, do our duties properly, at that time we try to show some detachment. That is not proper. So we have to actually make sure that now that we are into a particular ashram, we have to actually do our duty properly. So, like Chaitanya Charan Prabhu he was here and he was mentioning that how in April, May times, students suddenly become Krishna conscious and they appear more in the temple. It's not because it's an auspicious time. It is because it's an exam time and they
Yeah.
are worried about their result success, and suddenly they come to the temple and they want to take the shelter of Krishna. So we can't uh, just at the last moment when it becomes a little bit difficult for us, then we try to run away from our responsibility under the disguise of detachment or Krishna consciousness. We have to actually make sure that we have to do our duty properly, which is there. See, Bhagavad Gita clearly mentions that there are two duties. One is Varnashram Dharma and Sanatan Dharma. Until the time we are not purified from our modes, we have to actually follow Varnashram Dharma. At that time, and only when we are purified from these three modes, then we can actually completely follow the Sanatan Dharma, give up everything and focus on Krishna. And to make sure that we just keep doing our grihastha life itself till the age of 80, 90, 100. That's why gradually we have to reduce our responsibilities at a particular point in time when our children are grown up, their studies are done, they are working now, they can get married and whatever. At that point, we have to just then reduce our material attachment and then focus more and more. But in the grihastha life as well, of course, I know you, I understand that you also understand that in grihastha life as well, we can continue our devotional service.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Prabhuji. What if this thought process is gradual and not a sudden that, oh my God, it's too many challenges, let's run away, but kind of
Yes.
building up like from many years, that kind of thing? How do we
Yeah.
check that, Prabhuji?
Yeah. I think one of this, there was this grihastha seminar by His Holiness Vedavyas Swami Maharaj few years ago. He said that this detachment in grihastha life, he said that internally we should be detached, externally we should be attached. So externally we should actually keep doing our duty, but the
Right.
detachment that we talk about at that point, we should only develop that internally. it should not manifest externally
Excellent.
by not doing our duty. So we
That
can
makes sense.
definitely develop detachment gradually, as it was
Yeah.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But that should remain internal. It should not affect our duties that we are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sannyas, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, I've heard these classes in this chapter before, but the way how you explained it completely, really, really, very systematically, very clearly made us to understand the topic
Hare Krishna.
in a very, very, very beautiful, sensitive way. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And the way how you guided that, how Arjuna, the Bhagavad Gita, what we're learning as a student of Bhagavad Gita, even that is even useful for us at every time of our life. It's then we can see here Arjuna heard that Bhagavad Gita, and the same Bhagavad Gita as mentioned, he got that knowledge back again. So that gives us a very good strength that this knowledge and whatever the time we spent on understanding the Bhagavad Gita and all this knowledge will not go on vain. So this will
Yeah.
definitely help us. And you in your explanation, you given that profound meaning to us. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'm just repeating what I'm learning from Srila Prabhupada from his purports. As you can see, most of the points that I'm referring to, they are like 90% of them are coming from the purports itself. Very rarely I am actually referring to Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur or Jiva Goswami or whatever some other references that we have. So everything is given in Srila Prabhupada books. It is just that we have to read them and spend some more time. I think that is, I was just explaining to a few devotees yesterday that when we are reading, if we can just meditate on what we have read for a few minutes instead of just passing, okay, I have done this purport, I'm going to the next purport, then the next one like that. We should just have some little absorption, meditation on the purports that we read so that we understand what it is trying to reveal to us. And of course, we can hear that the lectures from other advanced devotees as well who have better realizations, and then that way we can understand what is their realization, what they are understanding from these purports, and try to absorb, and whatever can touch your heart, then you can implement, and slowly you can share them as well.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
And Prabhuji, the way how you're teaching us, actually giving the technique into us as well to look into like that. So thank you very much, Prabhuji. And you explained it today how to look into it as well. So thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I have learned from others. I'm just passing on.
Krishna.
Thank you. Anyone else has any questions, comments, reflections before we close?
प्रभु जी, जब मैंने सोचा मैं जब जहाज उड़ाऊंगा तो मैं आपके साथ को पायलट बिठाऊंगा, मैं आपको बोलूंगा सिट बी माय को पायलट. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. But it was really good, Prabhuji. Wonderful.
Our aeroplane is going to fall down, Prabhu. You need to actually choose a better co-pilot then. Hare
Thank you, sir.
Krishna.
It was really, really revealing. All the points all Matajis and Prabhujis have mentioned about the karma, about what was the yoga is, if you do karma which pleases Krishna. Amazing way of the way you presented it. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna then. Sannyas Prabhu, you have further points to
Can
add?
I get one?
Yeah, sure.
Prabhuji, this also profoundly shows one more information is not only Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, but the wives also automatically got into it. So it shows a life like not only you living a life like that, but also giving that same thing lesson to the family. It also very important as a grihastha and after the Vanapastha to give the same if the thing is gone. So they are also equipped with that. And if you're going, they're not complaining and they're not scolding, they're not beating. So at least, he's now taken that renunciation. Okay, let me also follow that path. So there is a very profound meaning coming next to that. So then only you relieved from that relationship. Otherwise,
Yeah. Yeah, of course, there is also a choice that the spouses will have, that in the Vanaprastha, that they can choose to remain with the family. Like if only one person wants to actually move into Vanaprastha and the other is not ready to go, then that possibility is still there, because if the children are there, they can look after the wife that is there. But of course, in this case, Draupadi and Subhadra are not ordinary. We all know that in case of challenges, who Draupadi remembers? Always Lord Shri Krishna. She is a pure devotee, Subhadra is a pure devotee, and that is why it is obvious that they are also going to go back.
But practically, can you give some other suggestions, Prabhuji, like how we can implement this one in this point?
Which one?
This one, how you can make your family also accept your decision to move on. What makes that? How can we give that strength to the family as well?
I think you are more experienced in that than me, Prabhu. You have already taken that step.
I want to hear from you, Prabhu, please.
I think one important point is it should not be a sudden thing, because it requires preparation. Just like we are talking about the final flight, and the final flight, if we try to learn something and practice something at that point in time, then it is not going to work out. Similarly, taking Vanaprastha is also should not be a sudden decision. We have to plan in our Grahastha life that this is the time that we want to actually enter Vanaprastha, and we have to prepare everything around that. So including our family members, any financial matters, our children's matters, our other business, whatever that work that is there, all needs to actually be planned. We can't suddenly at one particular time wake up and say that, oh, today I'm going to take. If the devotees are as advanced as Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj or Pandavas, that can be also done. That one fine day they heard that Krishna is leaving, they have taken Vanaprastha. But in their case as well, we can see that they have already prepared. That they have prepared Parikshit Maharaj and trained him already, so that he was ready to become the king. So they haven't suddenly left the kingdom to ruins, and they have taken the Vanaprastha state. So the preparation is required, Prabhu. So like whether it is convincing the family, or whether it is for financially becoming independently set up, or your children are all ready, or whatever, anything that is there, it has to have some preparation. So if that goal is there, that we want to enter Vanaprastha, then we should prepare properly, step by step, and then that will help us. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Nicely explained. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, fine. I think we will stop here today. Hare Krishna. Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki
Thank you,
jai.
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada
Thank you so
ki
much.
Thanks so much,
jai.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Praise Ambarish Maharaj Prabhu
Hey,
ki
Jai.
jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Jai
you,
Ho.
Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Ladies and gentlemen.